Got it. How's that? Anybody got me now? Does it work? Work. Anybody? I think I fixed it. I think I know exactly what happened. Um, hey, there we are. I usually have a broadcast mic, and I took it with me to the campus, and my computer was still set to that. And so there we go. So let me recap what I was saying for the first couple minutes. So last week, as we were, talking with you guys a little bit about kind of what our next step plan would be as we're trying to decide when and how and all this kind of stuff, and we were waiting to hear from Governor Abbott and what his game plan was, and he, made that announcement on Monday about reopening Texas. We had a Zoom call with him last week as pastors, and earlier this week we had another Zoom call with the lieutenant governor. And the good news is that they are basically giving churches kind of an open door policy. The churches are able to open up again, and they're asking us to be safe and smart and whatever we best feel is comfortable for our church, our community, in our town, in our city. And so we know that a bunch of churches are doing a whole different game plan. Every church is doing something different in how they're going about coming back. So we decided as a church that after a lot of prayer and consideration that we've landed on a game plan that we feel is not just only safe, smart, but it's also going to be very gospel driven, which is really important to what we want to do and want to be. Okay. So I know you might be hearing about like other churches and what they're doing and all this kind of stuff, but I want to share with you what we are doing. Okay. And so it's a tricky situation and it's a season, but this is our heartbeat. Okay. So church, when you start thinking about who we are as a church, as Austin Oaks Church, again, this is something we say, and this is a season where we really want to embrace this. We're simply about Jesus. Okay, that means we don't need so many structures in order to be simply about Jesus. There are vehicles, there are tools to help us along in that process, all right, to be about him, to focus on him. And our mission is to help others to meet, know, and to follow Jesus. And so that's a little bit about who we are. And we're taking that concept and bringing it down into our next step plan, how we're going to open up again, I guess you could say, even though we've been the church moving forward from the very get-go of this whole quarantine thing is. So this is a value set that we just keep talking about. It's like, okay, when we hear from the state of Texas and even the city of Austin that we're able to come back and meet together again, how are we going to do it in a way that's safe? How are we going to do it in a way that is smart? And how is it going to still be gospel driven? Okay, these are important values to be thinking about. These are important things for us to be processing. So as the executive team and other staff and even the elders, as we met yesterday, there's a lot of things that are driving our decisions, okay? We want to make Jesus the big deal, right? We're simply about him. He needs to be paramount and first in all the things that we do. The second thing that we keep saying every Sunday and every time we talk online is the church is not the building. The church is people. The church is where people gather together, where we center around the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so we are shifting, right? And this is an important thing, I think, culturally, just going, church is not the building. You don't go to church. You are the church. You be the church, right? It's centered around the death and resurrection and the ascension of Jesus Christ. That's what we're looking at. So we value Jesus being the big deal. We value being the church. And we also want to value the city. We want to value our church family. We want to value our neighbors and thinking through how they would feel in this season, not giving into fear, but we know that people have certain perceptions. We want to make sure that we're going about this in a safe, smart, gospel-driven way. And so saying that, we take heed of Proverbs that says, get wise counsel. And so that's something we've been doing. And so my weeks, I'm just telling you this right now, I'm on the phone with pastors from other states. I'm on the phone, which you probably better say Zoom. I'm on Zoom with, pastors within Texas, within Minnesota, California, Colorado. I mean, we're just constantly interacting. I'm meeting with, we had a Zoom call with the governor, lieutenant governor. with our district superintendent. We're constantly engaging and trying to get the right counsel so that way we can make a wise and informed decision. Okay, so here's the deal. No matter what happens, we are going to live out our mission regardless, okay? Jesus is everything. We want to help people meet, know, and follow Jesus. And we can do that at 185 Catalina Lane, or we can do that at 4220 Monterey Oaks Boulevard. We can do that anywhere, okay? So that's the beautiful concept that we need to instill in our hearts as the people of God. We are the church. We are the church. We can live this out anywhere and everywhere, okay? So just like everybody else, we're just using the fun language of phases, because it is important. And this is something I've been telling our staff is like we are simply holding all things loose, right? Like man makes his plans, the Lord directs his steps. And we truly are leading for today because we have no idea what the next day brings. Governor Abbott has phase one where certain businesses are able to open at 25% capacity. They don't know what's going to happen in 2 weeks, right? They're hoping in 2 weeks they can move to phase two, but they have no idea. They're holding loosely. And same thing with us. And so we are thinking through how to develop a phase plan as well that is safe, smart, gospel driven. And our value set here is we're going to try to ease into this, okay? Because we know this. There's some of you, and listen, again, no shame, no guilt, don't feel bad. There's some of you that won't feel safe meeting in a crowd. And there's some of you that are like absolutely antsy and itching to get with the crowd again, right? So we want to be able to serve you and serve our neighbors at every avenue possible. Okay, so our phase one plan is basically what we've been doing, is providing online services or online live stream. We do things throughout the week with our AOC guide, our Sunday morning, our worship, our hymn sing on Mondays, and our discipleship class, a lot of things. That's still going to happen, okay? And that's going to continue to happen. Now, what we're going to do is sort of in this week right now, as of today, we're sort of like in this phase 1.5 section as we're starting to move towards phase two. And phase two is going to start to look a lot more like AOC house church / home community groups, where we're going to be asking people, to gather in certain, sizes at different host sites. There's going to be a host that's going to host, open up their home or their yard. And then there's going to be a facilitator there. And so we're going to start to be moving into that. We're right now dealing with all the logistics of that. And there may or may not be some host sites ready for this Sunday. And so we will know more by Friday. So you just got to have to give us grace and be flexible as we're trying to recruit host site folks. And so if that's you, if you're wanting to open up your home to that, let us know. And I want to talk about that in a little bit. But that's a little bit of phase two. Okay. So what we want to do in this whole phase two concept is we're going to be pushing into kind of 4 things that are really, really important. We want to help you connect at a deeper level with Jesus, because our mission is to help people meet, know, and follow Jesus, right? So we want to continue to connect to Jesus, but this is our re-entry back into connecting with people. And so we want to be able to support that, develop healthy environments for people to connect well again, that is safe, smart, and gospel driven. And so we as a staff and even as elders, we're going to be focusing real strong into equipping our host sites and our facilitators and how to shepherd and lead well in this season. So we're really focusing strongly in connecting and equipping. Okay, we want to help you connect to Jesus and to each other. And we're going to be, as a staff and as leadership, doing all that we can to equip you to shepherd, pastor your neighborhoods, your groups exceptionally well in this season. Okay, so that's an important part. Now, what we're also going to be asking is these host sites, we want them to be thinking through, how can you serve your neighbors? How can you love your neighbor well? Are there needs in your neighborhoods? Like people that you don't know or maybe you haven't engaged with. We want you to figure out and mine that out how you can serve the folks around you, and even like just prayer. But this other aspect that we were going to be wanting these house church / communities to be about is invite your neighbors. Okay, invite your neighbors to these. And again, it's if they're comfortable, right? You're not going to force it, but invite them. Just say, hey, we're going to be gathering together on Sunday as a church. It's all streamed live. You just want to hang out, come. There'd be a great opportunity to do that. And we're coming up with a game plan to help connect those folks to discover who Jesus is. We're thinking through of potentially launching alpha courses. So there's some things that we have irons in the fire, and we're still trying to figure that out. But our phase 2 plan is primarily going to be building the infrastructure of house church / communities. Not the same as small groups, even though small groups could be that group. We're thinking through how to be regional, to find host sites there, because we know, okay, listen, the reason why we're going to be putting a lot of effort into building this infrastructure is because there's high chances that we might not be able to meet as a large gathering. We don't know if there's going to be a second wave or a third wave, or if the state's going to pull back on that. So we don't want to be caught off guard. So we want to build a stable foundation of ministry that can sustain us in this season. But not only that, it will sustain us in the future, because this is really going to help us as a church to understand what the priesthood of believers is, to help us understand that every single one of us who follows Jesus is in full-time ministry. This is going to help us to understand how to pastor our neighbors well. This is going to help us to be on the forefront of sharing our faith and serving our neighbors well. That excites me, to have that DNA like ingrained inside of us. This is something that, we've been praying for, and we're like, okay, Jesus, we're going to follow you in this. We're going to go with it. We make our plans, and we had a whole game plan, but you direct the steps, and this is where you're directing us. All right, let's go. Okay, so again, phase 2, we're going to start to really build out these house church communities. And so I'm going to talk about this again on Sunday, and you're going to start to see some things happen with this. There's going to be reservations. Okay, I'm not going to get it all to the logistics, but there has to be reservations, because we still need to practice social distancing, which is important. So a house can't, some homes and yards are larger than others, so that number is going to vary based upon the host. And so we need to do reservations. And so we also want to make sure there's margin in those reservations for our neighbors to be invited in. We're going to provide you with like yard signs and all that kind of stuff. We're going to give you the resources to lead this, okay? So phase 2, again, house church stuff. Now, here's the second thing that's going to start happening specifically this Sunday. We're going to start with a really small, like I just been calling it a studio audience at the church, okay? We're going to start it real small with 35 people. I don't know who those 35 people are yet, but real soon, I'm going to set out a link to you. If you want to be part of that 35, we need to have you reserve that spot so we know how many people. Okay, and the reason why we want to do this is so that we can start to learn a good system of how to handle larger crowds. Okay, we want to start this small. So we're going to start with 35 people. Even though we could do 250, we're not going to, because we don't think that's safe, and we don't think that's smart right now. We don't think that's loving our neighbor well right now. That's not a statement against other churches. That's just us where we're at, okay? So we want to start with 35 people, figure out the behavior, figure out how to do the social distancing, all that kind of stuff, figure out sanitation process, how long it will take for us to flip a room for maybe another service. So we're going to do the house churches and a studio audience, okay? So this Sunday, I will be looking for 35 people, and that can be families, okay? So if it is a family, you got to let us know. And specifically, if you know people who are hard of hearing, we want to make sure that those who are deaf, we're able to have our sign language interpreter there, and so that they can have, priority, so they can engage in worship at that time. So that's going to be part of this mix, okay? We're going to do that for a few weeks. So again, phase one, it's what we're already doing, and we're starting to move into an intentional house church / community season. Okay, so here's what phase three is going to start to look like. Phase three, and this is a date that we are not married to. It's a wish, a hope that we could do this. That on May 17th, we could start to move back into our worship space. We're still not going to go for the 200 some people. We're going to start small. We're going to have 35 this Sunday, maybe move it up to 50 or so on May 10th. And then hopefully on May 17th, we'll start to maybe have 100 people at any one given time. And so that's our hope, is on May 17th to start to open up our worship place. And as we sense and figure out what's happening in the city, the trend, all that, feeling what's happening in the pulse of our folks, we might continue to enlarge that a little bit. Now, understand this, in phase three, online, all of these things, all of our services will be live streamed. At phase three, the house church community thing will still be happening. So in other words, what we're telling you is that you will have options. You can stay home. If you don't feel safe yet, you can stay home and you can worship Jesus in your home, 100%, but just join a small group. If you're not ready to be in a crowd of, 35 or more, join a house church community. Just be there, start small, totally fine. There are going to be resources, they're going to be equipped. Our staff and elders will be jumping around at different host sites, totally fine. But if you're ready, like, you know what, I just want to be in a space with 100 people praising God together, seeing other folks again. Listen, we will have that as an option for you as well on May 17th. Now, saying that, don't worry if you don't remember all this stuff. You're going to get all of this stuff, all these logistics sent out to you real soon. Again, when we open up the sanctuary, it's going to have to be reservations because we need to know how many we can fit, how to do it safe, smart, and gospel-driven, right? We need to think through those things. So there will be reservations. And I know this is a new norm, and I know it's not necessarily the funnest thing and all that kind of stuff, but you know what? God's going to make it good. He's doing it. He's redeeming it. People are coming to know the Lord Jesus through this. And that's why we're really excited to be doing church in our neighborhoods, to be reaching our neighbors. We kind of hope, and in some levels secretly, that most of our folks, most of you want to be in house churches for this season, like just so that we can be thinking through of how to witness to our neighbors. Like that'd be great, but we would love to see you too, at the campus. So there's a lot of things, okay? So I want to do a quick thing. If you want to be a host, okay, let me back up here. We're looking for hosts and we're looking for facilitators. They're not the same thing. The host is just somebody who has a home or property that they're willing to open up to have people meet at. If you don't want to be a facilitator, we will send you a facilitator who will be equipped. The facilitator will basically kind of guide and shepherd that time. They won't be teaching. They won't be leading worship because all of that will be streamed from our campus to you, okay? So if you want to be a host and a facilitator, absolutely cool, okay? So here's what I need you to do. If you want to be a host or a facilitator, or you want to be both, please email linda.sarles@AustinOaksChurch, okay? Email her and let her know. And Pastor Chad will connect you and give you everything that you need in order to become a host or a facilitator or both, okay? So right after this video, once I end this broadcast, I'm going to put on Facebook, and it's going to be emailed out, a CCB link where you can reserve if you want to be part of our studio audience for this Sunday. It's only going to be 35 people, okay? So if you want to be there, listen, here's what you need. You have to wear a mask. We will not let you in if you don't have a mask. And at this point, we don't have extra masks, but the next Sunday, we will. So you got to make sure you have a mask. And don't worry, we have taken care, things will be disinfected and sanitized. It will be social distancing. Worship won't be live this Sunday, but the next Sunday it will be, but it's live preaching. So you'll be part of that, which would be great for me to see people, to talk to people again, which would be awesome. But we're still going to be doing live streams. I'll still be talking to the virtual audience out there in your homes. Okay, so look for that link. If that's you, you want to be part of that for this Sunday and the next Sunday, please reserve that space. Okay, and I know you might have questions. Trust me, I have questions. We're figuring out. But again, I want you to remember, we are striving to be safe, smart, and gospel driven. We value Jesus. We want to love our neighbor well. We love our city. We understand what the church is and what the church isn't. Okay, so we're in no rush. We are in no rush to open up our campus. Okay, but because we want to be smart, we can still do the mission and the vision that God has given us without opening up our campus. When that time comes to be able to open it up again, listen, we're going to, and we're going to celebrate Jesus together. And our prayer and our hope is that this opportunity to have the gospel DNA driven into our hearts and fabric as a church doesn't go away. Okay? So if you have any questions, feel free. You can email me at any time. Look for the link to reserve your spot to be part of the studio audience. If we're going to have host sites for the Sunday, we will let you know. But otherwise, if you're interested, again, in being a host or a facilitator, please email linda.sarles@austinoakschurch.org. We need you because we want to make sure we can saturate the region with different host sites because we are a regional church that has people coming from all over the city. Okay, so pray about it. Don't feel pressured about it. If you are part of the vulnerable population, please be smart. Stay home. Okay, please be smart. Don't feel pressured into doing that. We love you, and let us know how we can serve you and pray for you in this season. Okay, look for the link for a reservation. All right. I just got a text. Is this Sunday going to be in the community hall or in the sanctuary? This Sunday, and the next Sunday, or the next 3 Sundays, the studio audience is in the community hall. It's not going to be in the sanctuary. Okay, we're not going into the sanctuary until we can have a critical mass of at least 100 people, because all of our studio gear is set up in community hall. That was more information than you probably needed here, but it's going to be in the community hall, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be tons and tons of fun. All right, blessings, church. There's going to be more information coming soon. Love you.